I've owned the Sony ZV-1 Mark II for a couple of years now, and I have a confession to make. Until very recently, I had never taken a photo with it. It has always just been a B cam for video, and even with that, it's been used pretty sparingly. But when you actually take a look, the specs on this camera are pretty solid for photography. It has a 1-inch 20 megapixel sensor with an 18 to 50 millimeter equivalent f1.8 to 4 zoom and a 3-stop built-in ND filter plus Sony's awesome autofocus. I've been hunting around for the perfect digital camera lately, so I thought, why not take out this video-centric vlogging camera and see if it can double as a legit street photography option. Having never used this camera for photography, I really had no idea what to expect. So I wanted to put it through its paces and thought it would be a great opportunity to head to the city and spend the whole day using this camera and then be able to report back on how the experience was. I'm going to break down my experience of using the Sony ZV-1 Mark II by first talking about the pros, so what I liked about the camera, and then the cons, where it kind of fell down for me. So let's talk about it. A huge pro of this little Sony is, of course, the size. It is so lightweight and pocketable, or in my case, purseable. I was able to just pop it in my bag. I was walking around the city all day and it was just very non-intrusive, so easy to carry around, pull out. I really like the size of this thing. This camera also has a relatively large sensor when compared to other compact digicams or something like an iPhone, so that's also a huge pro. I chose to shoot this camera on full intelligent auto mode and I found it to be pretty bulletproof. Autofocus, exposure, everything seemed really on point. This camera also shoots RAW files, which I much prefer over JPEGs because I like to dial in my own look. And especially since we are talking about Sony here, I'm not in love with how Sony files look. They tend to be a little bit flat and just personally, it's not really my thing. So I chose to shoot in RAW and then process the files in Lightroom afterwards. Once edited, I found that especially using the Adobe Adaptive Color tool combined with some grain and dehaze in Lightroom, you could get a more grungy, saturated look that I really like. Battery life on this camera is surprisingly good. I walked around for quite a few hours and I had the camera on a lot because I wanted to be able to respond to the environment, and it only drained half the battery life. With a couple of spare batteries on you, I think you'd be set for a whole day of shooting. That isn't the case with video though. This thing really chews through the batteries if you are using it predominantly for video. You can also charge this up with a portable battery too if you stop for lunch or something like that. So I think it's a really great, day trip, adventure, travel, whole day of street photography kind of setup. I found the zoom really fun and easy to use, and the combination of a smaller sensor and f4 at the tele end didn't really worry me, as I prefer a flatter kind of everything in focus image. A couple of the places in the city that I photographed are a little bit on the dodgy side, so I really appreciated how discreet the Sony was. As much as I love the sounds of cameras and, hearing them, I decided to pop this on silent mode because of that, so that I could, really step into my street photography, like stealthy mode. To be honest, I was a little bit worried about using this. I didn't think that I was going to enjoy it for photography. It doesn't have an EVF, which is normally just a complete deal breaker for me, but I ended up really, really liking it. It surprised me, honestly, and I'm not used to composing without one. This has an LCD screen on the back. Just everything about it was just not screaming Lucy Lumen. I'm still not the most confident street photographer, and I am not trying to claim that I took amazing street photography photos on this day, but I did find that this was the most enjoyable experience I have had so far out on the street taking photos. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, and the LCD screen was actually like a superpower because I could hold the camera lower down, not up to my face, and just kind of snap things, and people didn't really notice. It made me feel less bad and less uncomfortable. I also liked that I could do that and still kind of be looking around at what was going on or talking to my partner. It felt kind of more social in a way. I think the LCD screen and also Sony's bulletproof autofocus were just making things so much easier for me. And I am looking forward to using this again for my next street photography adventure. So with the pros out of the way, let's move on to the cons of this camera. But before we do, I want to tell you about Acuity Scheduling. If you want to take your photography career or side hustle to the next level, then you need a booking system for your clients. Acuity Scheduling is an easy online booking tool that offers a full suite of features to make you look professional and allows you to easily manage your clients. Picture this, you are back and forth with a photography client about a potential photo shoot, and you're losing a lot of time on the admin side trying to pencil in the time. This is where Acuity Scheduling can come in and help you. You can simply send them a link to your booking page. You can block off the times that you are busy and highlight the spots that you want to fill, and they can simply just book in. You can add handy things like an intake form that allow you to gather the information that you need to provide the best service possible. You can also change the fonts and colors too, so everything looks on brand. You can easily receive payments too, and Acuity Scheduling links up with all the popular payment types like PayPal, Stripe, and Square. It's truly an all-in-one service, and it integrates beautifully with my Squarespace website too. If you want to get serious about your services and not lose time on the admin side, then I highly recommend trying out Acuity Scheduling. If you want to learn more or give it a go yourself, you can head to acuityscheduling.com/Lucy Lumen for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the code LucyLumen20 to save 20% off your first Acuity Scheduling subscription. All right, so pros are out of the way. Let's talk about the cons. As much as I enjoyed using the LCD screen, it was also a problem, especially out in bright sunlight. I couldn't really see the LCD screen that well in midday bright sun. So I was kind of guessing as to what my composition was. And this was annoying, but it was also freeing as well. The whole experience with the camera kind of just felt like I was having fun, snapping away. The stakes were really low. So it's kind of a pro con. Sometimes I was I don't really know if that was how I fully wanted to compose it because I can't see the back. But then at the same time, I kind of just embraced that and was I'll just go with it, have fun, snap away, don't think too much, and then I can, look at them later. Whilst it didn't bother me that much and I kind of just leaned into it, went with it, it's always better to have at least the option of an EVF so you can really refine your compositions. But I mean, this isn't a specific problem to the Sony. It's just something to consider. Visibility is always a problem with these rear LCD screens when you're out in harsh light. It can get really frustrating. So one thing that is pretty glaringly obvious with this camera and is a reason why I think myself and others probably overlook it as a viable photography option is how video-centric everything is. There are very few dedicated photography buttons. To change settings, it's mostly menus and touch screens, which I find kind of irritating and cumbersome, to be honest. As an auto everything point and shoot experience, I found it so great. No complaints there at all. And I really like shooting like that. But if you are wanting to do manual anything, it's definitely not enjoyable. My number one biggest con with the Sony ZV-1 Mark II would be that it doesn't have a flash. This particular photography adventure that we went on, it wasn't a problem because we were mostly outdoors, the sun was shining, so I just sort of leaned into that kind of style of photography. But if I was going to be shooting this all the time, I definitely want a flash option for being indoors or taking it out at night. And I just wished that it had that because if it did, it would be somewhat a perfect camera for me. So let's talk about how the images looked. Once everything had been edited, I was a fan of them, but straight out of camera, raw, very uninspiring, very flat. I'm not a fan of the Sony look, and that's just a personal preference. I know some people really like it, but this means that if I'm going to shoot this camera, I need to do some work in Lightroom to get them looking how I want them to. I found using Adobe Adaptive Color, adding dehaze and grain, I was able to get something that really punched and looked like my work, fit with my style. So I was really happy with this, but it depends how much time you want to spend in post with your photos as to whether or not this would be a good option for you. So is the Sony ZV-1 Mark II a viable street photography option? Yes-ish. I think if you were buying something like this for video and then you also wanted to use it for street photography and you could get used to its quirks, you could definitely get some great results out of it. The size and stealth factor count as well here. And I think that there are photos you could get with this that you wouldn't be able to get with a more serious photography option. I will say it's not a particularly engaging photography experience. You don't have like buttons and dials and things to interact with. You are really just snapping, grabbing the image. But I think with street photography, this can kind of be good because you can stay in the moment, you can keep an eye on what's going on, and you can just focus on the photo. I'm actually so surprised at how much I enjoyed using this camera. I was kind of dreading it a little bit. I thought, there's no way that, I'm going to enjoy using something with no EVF. It doesn't have a flash, all of these things. But the size, the stealth factor, and the results that I got, just the very carefree day that I had just snapping away with this little camera was really, really enjoyable. And it's so easy to just pop in my bag. So I will definitely use this, especially for days where I am, going on a street photography adventure or heading out to the city or doing things with family, and I can stay engaged, but also be snapping away, taking photos as well. It's definitely something that's going to go into my rotation. This experience has made me interested to possibly try the Sony RX100. It has a pop-up EVF and a pop-up flash. A little bit more expensive, but I think this could be something that I would really enjoy. The more I go down this road of trying to find the perfect digital camera, I'm just opened up to like more and more options that I want to try. But it's really fun to see how different cameras can inform your experience and working out the things that are important to me in a camera. Overall, I had a great time with the Sony ZV-1 Mark II, and for somebody like me who also does video, it's a great B-cam or just a way of capturing things along the way, as well as being able to take photos. So I rate it, but it's definitely not something that's going to be for every photographer.